Welcome to day 2 of the 16th Men's European Club Athletics Championships. We're in Jerez in Spain, in the Andalusian region. Mixtures of cultures here. Its origins go back some 3,000 years. We're in the southwestern corner of Spain. We're about 9 kilometers from the coast. 27 degrees the temperature today, and a touch of breeze. The conditions not too bad for good class athletics. Our 10 events were decided on day 1, and the team scores on that first day. There you have it. Larios, 68 points. Fiamma Padora, 57. Racing Club of France, 56. And Red Star Belgrade, 45. Benfica, 43. Birchfield, 39. And Moscow, 35. Amsterdam, 26. That's how they stand at the end of day 1. Let's have a look at the events we've got for today, Ian.
Yes, we've got a whole series of events coming up today. One of them, the 5,000 metres with Brahim Boutayeb looking to double up on his 10,000 metre win of yesterday. He's in the 5,000 metres. Gilles Canerve and Innocent Egbenike, two big names in the 200 metres. That's in just a moment for you. And a very competitive 800 metres with 5 sub-1:46 second men in action there. And the former world record holder, Vigneron of France, in action in the pole vault.
Well, the first event we're going to look at, the 200 metres, that's Innocent Egbenike in the yellow strip of Spain on the outside. In fact, he's 2 from the outside. Derek Redmond on the inside. Brankovic of Yugoslavia in lane 2. Redmond for Birchfield and Great Britain. Arkoven of Holland in 3. Rio of Italy in 4. Popov of the Soviet Union in 5. Then Canerve of France in lane 6. And Egbenike in 7. And Cunha of Portugal in lane 8. Canerve just inside Innocent Egbenike, second from the right of your picture. Canerve, of course, the French record holder, 20.21 last season. Oh, and Egbenike, well, they're undecided here. Some of the athletes went off and some stood up. You saw Egbenike, but there were 1 or 2 uncertain that there'd been a recall, and it may have been Arkoven of Holland. Ian.
Yes, there were 2 athletes there, and one of them towards the outside was Innocent Egbenike. Big star he's been on the world stage with his injury problems as well, but it was a faulty start, I think, rather than a full start. And Egbenike there, nearest the camera here, was certainly among those left. 2 athletes left. They're going to do it against Stuart, quite rightly, I think.
Well, that's Popov of the Soviet Union left of picture. In the centre, in the maroon strip of the Italians, that's Valerio Rio. But Egbenike just doing up a shoe. I tell you, he was very cool and calm, because the rest of them went away, and that was a very, very suspect start indeed. And you may well be right, it may be a faulty start.
I'm not quite sure what happened there, Stuart. I have a feeling that both Egbenike and Rio heard something, maybe cameras clicking, and they both just stood up. It's very strange that the 2 of them, and they're separated by 3 or 4 lanes, should have been the ones that stopped and stood up when the gun went, where everybody else went straight on.
Right, let's give you the lineup once again. Derek Redmond, Birchfield on the inside. We're looking at lanes 5 and 6 at the moment. I'll go through the lineup. Brankovic of Yugoslavia in lane 2. That's Red Star Belgrade. Arkoven of Amsterdam and Holland in lane 3. Rio of Italy in lane 4. Popov, that's the Moscow club, in lane 5. Canerve of France in lane 6. And Egbenike in lane 7. And Cunha out of shot on the right in lane 8. The second time of asking. The men's 200 metres.
Listo.
Very long hold, and Egbenike got away very well on the outside, and it's a very fast start indeed. Egbenike going well, and inside him Canerve. Egbenike leading at the moment as they come off the bend. Egbenike in the yellow strip, better known over 400 metres, running down the Portuguese on the outside, right on the inside. Derek Redmond running well for Birchfield Harriers, and Canerve and Redmond. Canerve's going to win it. Redmond in second place, and Egbenike in third, and Arkoven of Holland in fourth. That's how they lined up. 20.87. Good run by the British record holder over 400 metres, Derek Redmond. Going down to 200 metres to take on the French record holder, who's got a best of 20.16. Canerve, good athlete in every sense, world class. He's won this race for the last 3 years, incidentally, so he knows it well. Ian, let's have a look at the start.
Well, you can see, I think Stuart picked up with the commentary, Egbenike was off very, very fast towards the outside, but Canerve on his inside was always going very well here, the Frenchman, who, remember, in the World Championships of 1987, Canerve in that 3-way photo finish with John Regis and Calvin Smith. There he is in the light blue strip there on the inside of those 3. Egbenike in the yellow on the outside, Cunha of Portugal running pretty well. And look at Derek Redmond, who's had a lot of injury problems, the British runner there on the inside in the all-black strip. This is a good 200 metres run from him. He's more of a 400-metre man, of course, really. Good sharpening up work for him, running for his club. And Keneve, though, keeping his form right to the line. Redmond getting second, Egbenike in third, and it looked like Achtoven, the Dutch runner, getting fourth place.
Just look at the Yugoslav, second from right. He pulls up, just coming off the bend. That's Brankovic, the 22-year-old. He's better known over 400 metres, but he's got a best of 20.9. He's way out of it. Good run by Redmond, actually, on the inside, the Birchfield Harrier, but Keneve wins it.
Gilles Keneve, 20.85. It's not remarkably quick. In second place, that is wrong in the caption there. It was, in fact, Derek Redmond, a late substitute, in fact, for Jason John. He was second. Egbenike in third place.
Well, a sparse crowd, actually, same as yesterday. And we've got the discus competition on at the moment. This is Karpov of the Soviet Union, the first to throw. And he has a best of 65, so he's going to feature here. Karpov, one of a whole line of big Soviet throwers. But the men's hurdlers out, the 110 metres high hurdles. The lineup, there it is. Clarico of France on the right. Then Carlos Sala of Spain, best of 13.44 in lane 2. Barrigana of Portugal in lane 3. Buckeridge of Great Britain and Birchfield Harriers in lane 4. Marjanovic of Yugoslavia outside Buckeridge. Then Ott of Holland, Toshtini of Italy, and Titov of the Soviet Union. The men's 110 metres high hurdles. Larios and Carlos Sala, he must be in good form at the moment. He has, of course, run in 3 Olympic Games. There he is, good shot of him. Semi-finalists in Seoul in 1988. Third in the European Championships, of course, in 86. And away first time. Oh, I was going to say they're away first time. Another shaky start. And not sure who that was. We'll have a look at the slow motion and try and pick it out. Buckeridge in the black strip of the Birchfield Harriers. He has a best of 13.96. There he is, number 8 on his back. He's the 6th ranked Briton last year at 13.98, with Great Britain now sporting a fine array of hurdlers. Let's have a look who that was. Couldn't see. It could be Lane, well, it could have been Sala himself, Tim.
Yes, I think Sala was the man there. In the slow-mo, you could just about pick it out. It was very hard the first time round, but I think I just detected a twitch there in the replay.
Well, that's Barrigana of Portugal. He's a 14.2 man. So the full lineup once again: Clarico, Sala, Barrigana, Buckeridge, Marjanovic, Ott, Toshdini, and Titov. The men's 110 metres high hurdles, 10 barriers, 7 or 8 strides to the first, 3 in between, and the important part of the technique off the hurdle. First man to the first hurdle always has the psychological advantage. Sala taking his time, experienced head on those shoulders.
Listo.
And the second false start, and that was Ott of Holland, the 21-year-old, and I'm not surprised because his best is outside 14.6. He wants to get away and cut down the deficit somewhat.
Well, not only does he want to get away quickly, Stuart, but this is a very, very open race. I think all these boys realise that a small mistake or a particularly good start could give them a disadvantage or an advantage. And every split second counts in this particular start. Here you see, in slow-mo, yes, definitely, lane 6, Anthony Ott, the Dutch athlete, trying to get a flyer on the rest of the field there. Some of them think it's worth a try first time round. You've always got that one life.
There it is, the confirmation. So, Clarico, Racing Club of France, on the right of picture. Larios in 2, that's the Sala of Larios in 2. And then Benfica of Portugal, 3. Birchfield Harriers in 4. Red Star Belgrade, of course, the club which holds the title from last year. And then Amsterdam. And then Fiamma Ora Padua of Italy in lane 7. And then the Soviets, the Moscow club, in lane 8. So, for the third time of asking.
Listo.
Away this time. Marjanovic got away very well indeed in the centre of the echelon on the near side, Toggini, and now Sala starting to go, and Buckridge going well on the near side, Toggini of Italy, the Italian leading at the moment. Toggini of Italy, Italian coming through. Toggini of Italy wins it on the far side. I think Clarico of France was second. It was a very tight finish. He came through very quickly, with Sala perhaps in third place. A tight one that, but the Italian, with a best of 14.07, has gone against the scoring charts there, because really, on paper, he shouldn't have won it. Let's see them attack this first hurdle. I tell you, Toggini is a very fast sprinter, a good fast trail leg, and basically the sprinting taking him through here.
Yes, I think Sala, the man in yellow there, second from the right, had to be very careful. He was the favourite before this race, but he'd already made one false start. And as you see, Toggini, the Italian, coming through very strongly over the second half of the race. A great run from him.
It was a very tight finish between Sala and Clarico. We'll have to wait for the photo finish on that, but certainly we've got the first three places quite clear. Let's have a look at this head-on shot here. Buckridge in the black strip, hurdling quite beautifully, actually. The one thing he is lacking is basic speed quite clearly. Watch Sala going to the right side of the lane every time he comes across. Clarico, incidentally, who came through quickly at the ends, clouting every hurdle en route. He missed that one. Now Sala hits one badly there, and that's where he loses the race. The Italian, trying to get through to the line quickly, whacks the last hurdle, but he's won it, and 9 points to him. Well, we've got the triple jump in progress as well. Number 6 is Antonio Corgos of Spain. Corgos, of course, this is the start of the second round, incidentally. 15 metres and 5 is the best jump so far, and that's not particularly good, and he fell back there in the final phase. Corgos actually was 7th in the 1980 Olympic Games in the long jump. He has done 16 metres and 28, so he's in decline in real terms. He's 30 years old now. Just have a look at this. The three phases of this event. 1, double arm shift to the centre, really almost collapses out and is behind the takeoff foot on the final phase and falls backwards. That's called backward rotation. It is 15 metres and 6, so just 1 centimetre improvement for Corgos. Well, the pole vault competition is pole vault in action, we understand, down at the far end of the stadium. But we've got the triple jump, we've got the javelin, we've got the pole vault, and we've got the discus, and that's the result of the 200 metres. Canerve 20.85, good run by Derek Redmond, 21.06, and Egbeniki in third, 21.30.
I think that's the personal best actually for Derek Redmond over 200 metres, 21.06 for him. His personal best before this, 21.36, so that could be an indication for Redmond, Stuart, of some quite big things to come possibly over 400 metres.
By Louis Marto of Portugal now in the second round of the triple jump. And the Portuguese not having a great tradition in this event, and this young fellow is 24. He's got a best of 15 metres and 68 last season. No form this season, of course. It's very early, and they're finding their form at the moment. They've come out of the gymnasiums after the heavyweight training, lots of mobility work. And left foot takeoff there. Oh, the middle phase was terrible. When you look to a triple jump, it should be even pattern. You should be able to hear the even and regular pattern of the feet as they contact the ground. 14.47 is best 14.68. So technically that wasn't very good at all. So the competition's in their early stages at the moment. And as I was saying at the beginning, Ian, the weather, the conditions, very, very good. 27 degrees earlier on today.
That's right, and this is Mark Powell, I think, from Birchfield Harriers, of Great Britain, 21 years of age, with a personal best so far in his career of 15 metres and 22, so this is a big, big moment for him in a European standard competition. Early stages, this is the second round in the triple jump. World record, by the way, in this event, standing to Willie Banks at 17 metres and 97, but don't expect anything like that in an event like the European Men's Club Championship, but very, very competitive. And remember, all these athletes fighting for the pride of their clubs. This is the grassroots, in a way, of the sport.
Very powerful use of the arms there. Looks like a red flag. Well, he knew he'd gone over the board and pulled out.
I think he got an injury as well there, Stuart, by the look of it. And he looked as if he was limping a bit at the end.
Well, the discus, it's got one or two useful competitors in it at 65-metre potential. I say potential because their personal best back to 88 and 89. And that's the number 2. That is de Wolf, Wim de Wolf, 32-year-old Dutchman, second string to Eric de Bruin. Eric de Bruin, who of course is one of the great throwers in the world now, really came of age. That's a decathlon-like distance of 42 metres. So de Wolf, a personal best of 58.26, well below par at the moment. Just a slight breeze, better than yesterday. There was quite a difficult wind for the athletes. We've got an 800 metres line up there for you to see. In fact, it's that is the result of the 800 metres. We've got that race. We'll show you that race very shortly. 1:47.89 was the winning time by Squella. We've got a javelin result, I think, coming for you. That was an earlier event. There it is. Vedicani of Yugoslavia, 72 metres and 96. Red Star de Caspari of Italy, 72 metres and 84. And Bunk of Holland, 70 metres and 52. Not a bad competition, that. Not particularly far, 72 metres. But there we are.
So there's the standing after 12 events. The Spaniards on home territory, leading with an 8-point gap over Racing Club in second place, the French team. Padova there in third, and that's the way it looks at the moment.
We're going to take a break now. After the break, the 800 metres we promised you. Welcome back to Jerez and these European Club Athletics Championships. Back to the discus competition, and that was, I think, Zerbini of Italy. In fact, it was Racing Club of France. That's Frederick Sella, wearing the number 5 vest. He's thrown 62 metres this season. Sella, big man, very fast in the circle. And Sella, all of these throws at the moment, not having too much of a breeze to help them in these very difficult situations for throwers. They like to have the wind coming in from the right side for right-handed throwers. 55.56. He's in 5th place at the moment, so the competition hotting up. A lot of throwers around about the 55-metre mark. Well, this is the Italian in the triple jump, and this is Paolo Cialancini. I can't say him. He's 27. He was second last year in the European clubs. Not very fast. And that looked to me like a no jump before he even got into it. He's got an injured knee quite clearly.
He was always moving fairly badly there, wasn't he? Right the way down the runway there. Not a lot of speed, and he's very unhappy. And I wonder if he's going to take too much further part in that, because I think he's feeling that knee injury as well.
Well, he's short of 1 point. Well, we promised you the 800 metres. We can go back now and have a look at that race. It took place just a little while ago, and 1 or 2 useful competitors in it. To take you through it, Ian Dark.
Yes, in fact, 5 sub-142nd performers in this event. You're looking at the Frenchman there. That is Boy on the outside. He's in fact from Senegal. He's 28 years of age. He's one of those sub-146 men. It's quite a good standard little field, this. The full lineup from the inside is Pablo Squella, representing the Spanish club Larios, who have the lead. He'll be on the all-yellow strip. Ran quite well in Sao Paulo on the Grand Prix last week. Alvaro Silva for Benfica of Portugal going in 2. Then Alan Humphreys coming in for Birchfield Harriers, late replacement for Nick Pearson. Popovic of Yugoslavia is definitely useful, the 1987 World Student Games champion. Terol from Amsterdam, the Dutch club. Then Tonino Viali of Italy, second to Seb Coe, by the way, the world record holder in last year's race. Vladimir Grodin is a fairly familiar figure around the top meetings. In fact, he's got a personal best of 1:44.10, which makes him the fastest in the race. That was a couple of years ago, mind you. And on the outside, Boy representing Racing Club de Paris. There's Pablo Squella on the inside. Could be quite interesting, this.
It could, yes. I'm wondering how this race is going to go in, because yesterday we had a 10,000 with the Olympic champion Boutayev in it. He ran very fast, a good time, under 28 minutes. And we had the 1500, which was very, very slow, a sort of pedestrian pace. Now we've got the 800. How's it going to go?
So away they go. Remember, it's 2 laps of the track in the 800 metres, and the first bend always run in lanes, and a big jockeying for position. If you get yourself in the wrong position in an event like the 800 metres, where you can have problems right the way through. A lot of it is tactical, and you have to use your elbows a bit. And it's the Portuguese runner, Alvaro Silva, who's gone off in the lead. Square in the all-yellow strip there, and he got through very niftily there on the inside, almost into a gap that didn't exist, the sort of thing there'd be a steward's inquiry about if it was horse racing. Square leading, the Portuguese in second place. Popovic is in third at the moment, and for Birchfield, Alan Humphreys there in about 4th place at the moment, but as you can see, it's tightly bunched. Some of the runners going wide, getting themselves into position for the final lap to come.
Well, they've just passed through the 300-metre point. They slowed right down around that first step, around that second bend. I got them about 25.5 at 200. Here you see them approaching the bell. The athletes bunching again, fighting for position.
Still Silva just with the lead in the red vest. Making a move towards the outside is the Italian Viali there. And still right up there too, you can see Square, who's fallen back to about 5th position at the moment, but Popovic is in second. Still Silva in the lead, Popovic in second place, Viali on the outside is third. Making a forward move for Birchfield is Alan Humphreys, and look at this, he's gone 200 metres out, and he's making the break for home, but there are still 6 in it. What more has Silva got left? He's being overtaken by Popovic, and Popovic looking strong there, coming to challenge the Birchfield youngster on his outside. But still 5 in it, and look at Square coming with his run there in the all-yellow on the outside. Great finish this. I said it was going to be a competitive race. It looks as though Square's going to get there. Square coming on the outside, and this is a good run from the runner from Chile, representing Larios. Good points for them. He wins it. Looked like Graudin came through to get second place, the Soviet runner Silva in third. And maybe Popovic fourth, 1:47.91. Great race, Tim.
It was a blanket finish there across the track, but Square really showing that he's the man in form today. He ran 1:45 just last year, so really he is the man with the most recent good form. Several other athletes in this race have run under 1:46, but most of them were in 1988. Here you see Humphreys, the British athlete, taking the lead very bravely with 200 to go and pushing it very hard round that last bend, because his personal best is only 150, and he's working at a lot faster than that pace here.
There's Popovic in second place, and at this point, I suppose if you were going to put your bet and money down on it, you'd have gone for the Yugoslav runner, who's come up to Humphreys' shoulder there in the grey shorts. Silva there in the red. He'd cut out a lot of the pace on the first lap towards the inside. Now here comes the eventual winner on the outside in all yellow, Pablo Square. He's 26, quarter-finalist in the Olympic Games in 1988. He's out of shot at the moment, but there he comes with his run. Gave himself a lot of daylight, kept out of trouble on the outside, and in the end he won it pretty handily.
He did, yes, won it comfortably there. Square, well, he's happy about that. You see, the points are so important in this.
Oh, this is Korgos in the triple jump again, and he's having terrible trouble at the moment. Korgos struggling, and at 15 metres and 30, that's slightly better, but that's nowhere near the form that we associated with him. The pole vault in progress, that's the Italian, that's Beda, and you can see that the wind is getting up a bit, and it looks to me as though it could be a crosswind. There's Thierry Vigneron in the background, the former world record holder, just left a picture. We might get a shot of him later. Marto of Portugal, once again, attacking that triple jump board. I'll bring you up to date with these performances in a moment, the positions in a moment. There are 4 field events going on, and we're trying to bring you up to date with the leaders very shortly. 14 metres and 68. And that not particularly good, but remember, this is a club event, and of course these athletes attempting to get anywhere between 9 and 1 point. And incidentally, in that 800 metres that we saw Larios get another 9 points, and Larios of course for the club leading after the first day's events in this 16th championships.
Yes, and the spectators here will be getting quite excited about that. Of course they love to see a home win, and it does rather generate the atmosphere. Spain have never won this European Men's Club Championship in the past. Last 3 years or so, or before Red Stars win anyway for Yugoslavia last year. Racing Club de Paris were the club who dominated. So Larios, who had Said Awita running, I think, for them last year. Not this year, of course, because Said has had a thigh operation, we understand, in Paris, and could be out for the season. Bad news that.
Karpov in the discus of the Soviet Union. And that's, looks to me, I think the second line is at 50 metres. And Karpov, of course, will be challenging. He's in second place at the moment with 57 metres and 10. And this is the fourth round of the competition. So he really attacks it. I wish we'd got a shot of his feet, because that's the important part of discus throwing, in a sense, because it's the basis on which the event is built.
Quite a breeze, as Stuart was telling you here. Quite nice conditions apart from that. Temperature up around 27 degrees. Coming up quite soon on the track, we're going to have the steeplechase. Looking forward to that, and another big battle, of course, with Larios of Spain trying to hold on to their overall lead. And in fact, the runners lining up there and on the inside for them is Alejandro Gomez in the all-yellow strip of Larios, Junqueira for Portugal, Andy Simmons for Birchfield Harriers. And we'll pick up the other runners for you as the race goes ahead. You're watching these pictures live from Jerez in Spain, European Men's Club Championship. The leading clubs from 8 nations bidding to lift the trophy at the end. And you looked there just on the inside, did you see Gomez just crossed himself before the race? It's kind of silent prayer from him. And he's gone off quite quickly as well, but it's the Italian who's gone out in front, that is Tonino Felici, who's an 8:32 man. The fastest man in this field is the Dutch runner, Hans Koleman, who's getting onto the veteran stage now. He's 32, but he's run 8 minutes and 18 seconds, which is world class, but that was in 1985. He reached the semis at the Olympic Games. But the leader in these early stages, Andy Simmons of Great Britain, who's never been under 9 minutes before. Very, very slow pace, Tim.
Yes, it is very slow. Again, points in everybody's mind here. They're not too concerned about the time. They're not watching the clock. They're watching the other competitors. And a win in a very, very slow time is far more preferable to these boys than a 3rd or 4th place in a fast time. But here you see the Yugoslav athlete taking it out. That's Maksimovic. He's got a personal best of 8:28. He's decided to make a race of it. He's had enough with his jogging. He probably feels that he's about the second fastest in this field after Coleman, and he's decided to push it along and not leave it to a sprint finish, I think. And very wise he is too, I think.
Maksimovic, in fact, is quite an interesting customer. He made a big improvement last season, 17 seconds, and that is a big, big chunk to take off in 1 year. So, you know, he's down to 8:28. If he can improve again this year, he could be moving into world class. He's the man who's cutting out the pace at the moment, Maksimovic, Vule Maksimovic of Yugoslavia, with the grey trunks there in front. In the all-yellow in second, Alejandro Gomez, who's a pretty good flat runner. He's done 7:47 for 3,000 metres. And remember, this steeplechase is run over 35 obstacles, and some of those barriers, if you clump them, just have a look at that, you hit that wood, look how thick it is, you are really going to pick up a nasty injury. Technique is important, obviously strength is important, and in the finish at the highest class, speed as well. So it makes big demands. And look at this, the technique at the water jump as well. 1 foot on the barrier, 1 foot in the water and away, and if you get that wrong as well, the water is in fact quite deep. So you can be in trouble with that as well. Still, it's Maksimovic who's leading. Second place is Gomez in the all-red strip towards the outside, representing the Portuguese club Benfica. That's João Junqueira, all-red strip. He lies in 3rd place at the moment.
Well, the athlete in second place there, you've already mentioned him from the Larios club in Spain. Gomez is a very tough customer, and I've raced against him in the cross-country. In the 1989 World Cross Country, he came 9th, and he's run under 28 minutes for 10,000. He's run 27:54 for that, and as you say, 13:20 for 5,000 and 7:47 for 3,000. And very often you find that steeplechasers are athletes who have turned to the steeplechase because they're not so good at running on the flat. Well, with Gomez, that's not true. He's a very, very good flat runner, world-class man, and you can see him tucked in behind the leader there. The leader being, of course, Maksimovic from Yugoslavia. And my money's on Gomez, but very early in the race, obviously, he's making predictions.
Still Maximovic leading. Gomez in second place for the Spanish club. Then in third for Portugal, Junqueira. Prominent as well, white with the blue trunks. That is the fastest man in the field on paper, and I stress on paper. Whether he's fastest on the track here today is quite another matter. Hans Kuhlemann, the 32-year-old. Those are the leading four at the moment. Then a little gap back to the Frenchman Philippe Bolzet, who's 8:52 on the book, which shouldn't really make him a factor, one would think here. Now those are the leading four, and a little gap back to the others. And number 3 there in the all-maroon strip of the Italian club, Tonini Felici. By the way, the Italians have won this event the last 3 times, with Francesco Panetta, absolutely world-class steeplechasers, of course, and Alessandro Lambroschini, who's quite excellent as well. So they were big stars to put into an event of this nature, and it's hardly surprising they won. And I mean no disrespect to Felici there, just going through the picture, when I say he's not in the Panetta and Lambroschini class. Not many club athletes would be.
Well, Coleman tucked in at the back there, Ian. He's the man who has the most recent good form, ran 8:23 last year. As we've said, he's the fastest in the field. World-class man. He's run 8:18 from the Amsterdam club. That's him in 4th place in the white vest. And he seems to be getting a bit of an easy ride here between these other 3. They're chopping and changing, sharing the pace, but Coleman just tucked in on the inside, running the minimum distance necessary.
4 laps to go. It's not obviously going to be quick. This is a tactical race, obviously. It's kind of like a championship race, and often, of course, on the Grand Prix you see a lot of timed. 3 laps to go, in fact. Sorry, we got the old counter wrong there. They flipped it over a bit late. 3 to go. But the point remains, it's not a fast pace, and the Portuguese runner has gone to the front again. That's Junqueira. On his outside is Gomez. Then Kuhlemann looks very comfortable to me. The Dutchman in third there with the flowing locks. He's just fallen back to 4th now as Maximovic makes the move again on the outside. Maximovic. But it's between these 4. They seem to have got away, and it's tactical in there now. Their minds will be working overtime, working out, where shall I go? Where shall I make a move?
The pace has definitely picked up though, hasn't it, Ian? Look at this, they're watching each other. There you see Gomez on the outside in yellow, looking round, seeing where his opponents are. They're playing a real cat and mouse game here. The pace isn't very fast. Nobody wanting to do all the work, but at the same time all of them wanting to be on the shoulder of the leader, close to the front, so that if anybody makes a break, they can cover it.
2 to go. Coming through this time, still Junqueira leading for Benfica of Portugal. And importantly for Larios, who lead overall in the competition, Gomez is there as well, and if they could pick up another 9 points with him, they'd be absolutely delighted. Coleman, to me, looks the danger man there. White with the blue for the Dutch club, Amsterdam. And still in touch, Maximovic, Red Star Belgrade. Between these 4, I really like this steeplechase, I must admit. It's a great event. Remember that one at the European Championships in '86 when Panetta went racing off, and he had a big lead going into the final lap, and Hagen Meltzer caught him on the line. Some great racing in the steeplechase, and this promises to be quite an excellent finish. Only 600 metres out now, and just beginning to wind it up a bit. Gomez trying to put in a little burst. He's got a gap of 2 metres, but the others are still there. They still look strong. They're still biding their time.
Well, Gomez decided to put the hammer down now. That's right, he's taking the lead, he's pushing it along, he's got a couple of metre gap on the others already. A lot of athletes like to take the lead just before the bell with 1 lap to go, so that around the last lap they are the ones in the front, they're the ones running the minimum distance, and the other athletes have to come round them, they have to run further.
Kuhlemann's in a bit of trouble, I think, now. He's having to work to stay with them. The Dutchman, as Gomez kicks on from the front. He's not doesn't look to be moving that comfortably. Maximovic on his outside. Nice easy look about him at the moment. But look at that, you could put those 4 almost into a telephone box. And Coleman now making another move, almost finding another gear there. He looked to be struggling and seemed to be almost losing touch. 500 out, and here he comes again. And Coleman taking the lead for Amsterdam now. In second place is Maximovic. Gomez, I think, in third place there, falling back a little bit. What can he find? Half a lap to go. Over this one, they'll have the water jump and one other obstacle, and once again the lead changes hands. What an extraordinary muddling race that is. Coleman seemed to be making his move, and a decisive one, but he can't sustain it, and Maksimovic has gone to the front for the Yugoslavians, and this may well be decisive this time, or is it? Because here comes Junqueira of Portugal, the lead changing hands every 40 metres here. But these two have it down the straight, the final barrier, great race, just a metre between them. Junqueira for Benfica of Portugal, and he's the man who's got the sprint finish, he's the man with the strength, and comes away to win it. It's a Portuguese win for Benfica. Junqueira is the winner. Maksimovic getting second place. Useful points again for Larios, with Gomez in third there. And Coleman in the end slipped back to fourth. And 8 minutes 34.91 is very decent running at this kind of level.
Not bad running at all, yes, that's right. It's not international class, but it's good for this standard of athletics. And here you see the four athletes. Just before this point, you could have thrown a blanket over them for the previous 3 or 4 laps. But here you see Maksimovic, the Yugoslav, looks like he's got a comfortable lead going into the last water jump. They've just begun to split up at this point. But Junqueira, the Portuguese, gets onto his shoulder, coming into the straight, obviously plenty left. Run quite a deceptive race, in fact. And Maksimovic just hasn't got any response to this. He hasn't got anything left. This event really saps your strength, and it's very, very hard to get over those last few barriers. But here, Junqueira, the young Portuguese, personal best of 8:30, so he's not far off that at this pace. Only 25. He's got a very, very strong last 60 in him, and going well away from the other athletes now.
And just to give you a little idea of the gap between this, as he punches the air there, and top world-class level at the moment, the years list, that's the 1990 list, led by Julius Kariuki of Kenya, 8 minutes and 20 seconds, so he can go quicker than that, of course. This about a quarter of a minute slower. Here it is again, final barrier, and interestingly there, he just pushed off it there, almost as if to launch himself into the sprint finish there, Junqueira, 25 years of age, and it's meant a lot to him and his club this. He punched the air as he realised that he'd taken Maksimovic's measure and came away to win well. Well done, son, good race. And 9 points in the bag for Benfica. We'll see how that affects the overall scores in just a moment.
Well, this is Terry Vigneron, 5 metres and 50, the height he's attempting, and the former world record holder goes clear, and that's a very, very fine vault indeed. Vigneron, who held the world record before Sergei Bubka, incidentally, there's his series. Took 2 attempts at 5 metres and 20, 5:30 first time, 5:40 second time, first time, and then 5:50. So he's done well. In the triple jump, this is Mark Powell, but let me tell you that the lead is being held by Jerez of the Soviet Union with 15 metres and 76. So the Birchfield Harriers only 36 centimetres behind him. Vigneron is leading in the pole vault, as I said. Marcel Tariel of Yugoslavia is leading in the discus with 58 metres and 8 from Karpov of the Soviet Union, 57 metres and 10. So that's the update so far, and this is the 5th round. So Mark Powell settles down. Oh, it looked as though, well, he got a poor takeoff and had to really work hard to get into the centre phase, and at the end of that he won't be as happy as he could have been. He got a white flag, but it could have been better. It was very flat off the board, and of course almost collapsed into the centre phase, and that is a poor situation to get into in this triple jump event. Notice the number of athletes limping off after they've pursued this event, because it's such a stressful one, on the ankles in particular, on the knees as well. 15 metres and 8, that particular one. He's in 5th place at the moment with 15 metres and 40 overall. So there's a very, 36 centimetres between the first 5 competitors, so it is a good competition, this triple jump.
You were talking about the strain on the athletes, Stuart. Of course, they are talking about letting the women do it at championship level, the triple jump.
Well, the women are jumping, just over 14 metres, 14 and a half, and Chistiakova of the Soviet Union, who's world record holder in the long jump, she's up there heading that ranking. It's a world best at the moment, rather than a world record, because the event is in its infancy. There's the result of that 110 metres high hurdles. Todeshini, 14 seconds dead. Clarico, 14.18. Sala, 14.19. Vicarage 14.26. I think it's a personal best actually for the winner. But that was a good race. 14 seconds flat, good time. So, Obradovic of Yugoslavia. Now he's built like a triple jumper. He really is. I got very close to that plasticine, and that is a good jump. He's in 4th position at the moment, and he's got a white flag. And several of these athletes between 14.50 and 14.76. 15.51 is the performance of this man. He has done a best of 16 metres and 17, but that was last season. Very close to that plasticine. Has to work hard for a rhythm in the centre phase there. And at the end of the day, once again, it was survival, but he has got 15 metres and 79, and that, in my reckoning, takes him into the lead. So 15 metres and 79. In fact, it was second place. I beg your pardon. Let's have a look at one or two other results. There is once again a result at hurdles, 14 seconds. Personal best for Todeschini, Clarico 14.18, and Sala has been to 3 Olympic Games, 14 point, what's still running, under 14.2. I'll have a look at the 800 metre result, Ian.
Yes, Pablo Squaya taking that one. 1 minute 47.89. Good points for Larios. That Grodin in second place for the Soviet Union. And Silva getting third. Good race, tight finish. Squaya's class just winning out in the end. 6 of them in contention down the straight. Now there's the team scores after 14 events, and Larios of Spain have increased their lead now. They're 13 points clear. Padua in second place at the moment, Racing Club of France in third.
Well, let me tell you that the Spanish clubs have never ever won this tournament, this European Championship, and they've got a big lead, haven't they? 13 points. We're going to take a break now. Join us back shortly. We've got the 5,000 metres for you in the next part. Welcome back to Jerez, and the discus still in progress here. We've got the 5,000 metres coming up shortly, and we've got one of the competitors very much in the thick of this discus competition, Yevgeny Karpov of the Soviet Union. 57 metres and 10, 58.08 Taril, the lead at the moment. In the triple jump, incidentally, just looking at the Soviet athlete is leading, Gerasimov, with 15 metres and 79. That is Gerasimov himself, the leader. He's leading by virtue of second best jump at 15 metres and 76. The Yugoslavs in second place, that's Obradovic, and he's got 15 metres and 79 as well. And in third place for the Racing Club of France is Le Breton, with 15 metres and 67. Well, I said to you it was a close competition. 15.79, 15.79, 15.67, 15.62, and the Birchfield Harrier in 5th place with 15 metres and 40. What a competition it is. Let me just, over pictures, update you on the discus. The leader is the Yugoslav, and that is Taril at 58.08. The Italians now moved into second place. That's Zerbini with 58 metres and 6, and the Soviet Karpov has 57 metres and 10.
That could be quite an important result, because the Italians at the moment lying second place overall in the competition to the Spaniards. So if Italy can keep a high position there, they may be able to make ground on Larios of Spain as the competition boils up towards its climax. The final event will be the 400-metre relay. Before that, on the track, we'll have the 5,000 metres, which features Brahim Butayev going for a long-distance double for Larios. That should be more points for them.
Well, this is Le Breton of Racing Club of France, 15 metres and 67, and he's in third place at the moment. And Le Breton, he's a reserve in this French team, and hasn't got much form at all. So if he's in third place, then he's doing very well indeed at 15.67. So Gerasimov, the Soviet, still leading. Well, let's have a look now and see what he can do. So here we go. Very rangy, isn't he? He's a forced sprinter, so-called. Smacks the board. Nice. Oh, he almost... Well, you saw the forward rotation develop out of the first landing. Well, that just fell apart totally after the first contact with the ground after takeoff. If we get a look at that on the slow motion, here we go. Just watch very carefully. He's flat-footed on the runway. That's not too bad because the feet have to hit that board in a flat way there, then the recovery there, his forward rotation, can't control it and ends up doing a forward roll into the pit. He's got a lot to work on there.
Took off a long way behind the board as well, didn't he? Gave away about, that's part of a foot, I should think.
Look at the wind speed between 0.38 and that's minus 0.38 and plus 1.4. And that's a very big difference. And I can't see the wind on those bushes in the background there. They're fluttering. It might be right, but it
must be swirling around a bit, I would think, Stuart.
Yeah,
you get that sometimes in an athletic stadium, don't you? It blows one way 1 minute and another way another, because they're often in natural bowls, these stadiums.
That's why there's so much controversy, in fact, about wind assistance in these events. There you are, there's the result of the 3,000. First for Portugal, Junqueira, 8:34. Great race this. Marsimovic for Yugoslavia, second with 8:36.
Good points again for Larios there in third place. They got 6 more points in that event. The main thing for them at the moment is to keep ahead of the Italians and the Frenchmen all the time, because that's their biggest challenges. Back to the discus.
This is Kevin Brown of Great Britain in the discus. He's the best of 56.66, not today, and he's down a bit at the moment. He threw at 56.66 last weekend, so he's doing not too badly by his own standards. He is the Midlands champion. And once again in the triple jump, we have Antonio Corgos. Now this is an important competition for Corgos, and of course a member of the Larios club. In the field events, this is where they may struggle just a little. 15.57 he has at the moment. And he's in 5th place with that. So it is, in every sense, a good competition. We mustn't think about records in competition of this kind. Look at the built-up heel on those shoes. They are specialised shoes for triple jumping to take away some of the shock when they crash the foot down in those 3 phases. And that wasn't bad. Just over 15 metres, and that's Luis Mato of Portugal. And we're in the 5th round of the competition at the moment. Mato, 24, Portuguese champion. He's light, he's very slight, built more like a long jumper, in fact. Lacks a little bit of leg strength to support him in the middle phases there. He's jumped very high off the final phase, but really there was no control in the centre. 15.22. That's his best jump so far. It looked to be a jet over 15, and that's confirmed by the scoreboard. So he's in 5th place at the moment.
Event boiling towards its climax here, with the Spanish crowd hoping for a victory for Larios. Pity a few more didn't turn out to watch this, really. It's sometimes I think these events should be in a bigger stadium. That's the latest scoring. Larios even bigger lead now after 16 events. You can see that they are, what is it there? 12 points clear of Racing Club de Paris, who've now gone 2nd. And the Italians are in 3rd place, Red Star 4th, Portuguese in 5th, Britain, Birchfield Harriers in 6th place, the Soviets in 7th, and Amsterdam in 8th. That's the latest position, and it looks as if Larios will win, because they still have got Brahim Butayev to come in the 5,000 metres. That's the next track event. Athletes already warming up over on the far side for that one. But going back to what I was saying about the stadium, Tim, it's a pity really they didn't put it in a smaller stadium. Makes the crowd look a bit bigger and creates a better atmosphere for the athletes, I think.
Well, that's right. It's debatable whether or not it's better to be in a big stadium with the atmosphere that the stands create around you, or in a smaller stadium where quite often you have one side of the stadium empty, but with a packed small stand. Back to the triple jump now.
Mark Powell, the Birchfield Harrier. 15 metres and 40 his best. He's in 5th place at the moment. Look at concentration there. Best before this year, incidentally, was 14 metres and 58, so he's come on a bit. He's quite clearly winted well. And there's another shot of those built-up heels. We might get another shot there. Previous Cup winners, John Herbert of Haringey in 1987, Wolfgang Knabe in 88, and Zoran Jerez in 1989. And just looking at the distances, 16 metres and 54 was Herbert in 87, and 16.62 in 88 was Knabe. Zoran Jerez of Red Star last year did 16.16. So we have to say that this competition is a little bit below par. But once again, I say again, it is a good competition. So 15.79 is the leading distance. Oh, he's got a red flag. Oh, he really went for that. And once again, look, he limps out of the end. There's such a stress, and it looks as though he may have got a little bit of a hamstring problem there as well. Just to remind you, if you're wondering what's happened to the 5,000 metres, we've got 2 or 3 minutes still to go before Butayab attempts to make the double or take the double. He, of course, won the 10,000 metres yesterday. And it's just over 3 minutes. Into the last round of the discus now, and the Yugoslav leading Zerbini in second place at the moment with his 4th round throw of 58 metres and 6 centimetres. Zerbini, the Italian. I just wish they'd given us a wider shot, and because we can't see his feet as they move across the circle. And but I must say that he's quite a good competitor and capable of 60 metres plus. We had a good day yesterday, I must say that, and just reflecting back on some of the results, of course, we had Amadou Diaba, the Olympic silver medalist in that. We're talking very shortly about Butayeb, but of course the Olympic silver medalist won the 400-metre hurdle, so we may well be able to see that later on. Butayeb in the 10,000 winning it, Bruno Mari Rose winning that, Stuart Faulkner in the long jump. We may well get a chance to look back and reflect on those performances from yesterday later on in the programme. But anyway, the triple jump still in progress here. Number 1, that's Obrodovic of Yugoslavia. And he's in second place with 15 metres and 79. Let's just see what that performance was. Looked very close to the plasticine there. Sank a bit out of that first phase. That does look to be well over 15 metres though. And no, it's 15.44. He's still in second place by virtue of second best jump. The Soviet athlete Gerasimov has 15.79, the same distance, but leads because he's got a better second jump. Anyway, over on the far side, the athletes out for the 5,000 metres.
And there they are. Brahim Butayev is the man to watch in this race, although it's a good race too. Some interesting athletes like Gennaro Di Napoli, the young Italian who holds a victory over Sebastian Coe and ran a 3-minute 32 1,500 metres last year, which made him number 4 in the world. So interesting to see him at 5,000. He's the tall fellow in the all maroon strip, lying about 5th, 6th at the moment. Butayev at the back of the field, and taking it up out in front is the man from France, from Racing Club, Jean-Louis Prianon, who's a world-class 10,000 metre man. Tim knows quite a lot about some of these athletes. He's raced against them a few times.
Yes, indeed. In fact, I've raced against Prianon, the man out in front, a great deal over the track, country and road. Most recently, in fact, was towards the end of last summer. I raced against him in the Europa Cup at Gateshead in England. And Prianon doesn't have a great deal of speed. He's a 5,000, 10,000 metre man. In fact, he's run a pretty respectable marathon. And here you see him taking it out. He's not messing around. He doesn't want a slow race. He doesn't want a kick finish. Out he goes. Very fast early lap here. And the other athletes stretched out behind him immediately. And one factor we mustn't forget in this, Ian, is how hot it is up there. We had reports earlier, it's about 27 degrees. And that will be a factor in this event, as I'm sure it was in that steeplechase we saw earlier. But Prianon pushing it along very fast here. He realises that Butayev, the Olympic 10,000 champion, who won the 10,000 yesterday, is tired. Butayev would like to get a double in this event, but there he is at the back of this field in the yellow vest. And I think Prianon knows that his best way of getting good points for his club, and indeed beating that Olympic champion Butayev, is to push it hard from the gun.
And that's what he's doing. Prianon in the lead in second place for Benfica. João Campos, who, interestingly, 6 years ago was under 13 minutes and 20 seconds for 5,000 metres. World-class time, but it was 6 years ago. And last year, he was ranked only 11th in Portugal, which isn't the most encouraging of guidelines for him. Maybe he stepped it up, maybe he had a good winter. We'll see as this goes on, but Prianon looking very strong. As Tim says, he's decided he's going to make this pretty quick, because he knows that with the likes of Butayev and Di Napoli in the race, and they are leaving themselves a long way off the pace at the moment. They're obviously unworried by all of this. I wonder how much longer they'll be unworried by it. And as I say that, in fact, Butayev makes a forward move. He's decided he can't let Prianon get too far away from him. And you can see Butayev there making his way from the back into third place at the moment. So the lead at the moment, Prianon of France in first place, Campos, Portugal second, and Butayev closing it up there to third. He's unbeaten, Butayev, at 5,000 metres, by the way, for nearly 2 years.
Well, there was a rumour earlier on this afternoon, Ian, that Butayev wanted to push the pace along. He wanted to make sure it was sub-13:30 pace, because he was scared about Di Napoli's kick. Di Napoli, as we said, fourth fastest in the world last year over 1,500 with a time of 3:32. Fourth in the World Cup last year in Barcelona, and a man with a devastatingly fast finish. So Butayev and, of course, the man out in front, Prianon, running for the French club, both want a fast pace to get away from Di Napoli. That's Di Napoli there, the very fast Italian, in fourth place.
So this is the Soviet in the triple jump, and the leader at 15. Oh, and that looks a big jump, and that looks a big jump from the Soviet. And that is Gerasimov, and he's got a white flag. 15:79 was his best jump before this, but surely he's gone beyond that. And he really hits well here, slightly shy of the board, good control in the middle, and one of a great group of Soviet triple jumpers. And that looks as though he's improved his lead. He has 15 metres and 90, and that is a superb performance by the Soviet athlete. He leads.
Prianon still leading back in the 5,000 metres. Remember, 12.5 laps of the track, the 5,000 metres. And if you prefer it in the old miles, well, it's about 3.1 miles, just over 3 miles. Prianon the leader, Campos, Portugal second, Butayev is third, Di Napoli lying in fourth place, and Branko Zorko from Yugoslavia, a 13:43 man last year, but probably capable of a bit better than that. He's in fifth. He's quite a good runner too. So there's some good names in here, and I must admit, I find the confrontation between Prianon trying to make things happen up front, force the pace of it, make it a quick one, and Butayev and Di Napoli, interesting to see him in a 5,000. I don't know how serious he is about moving up. Seems a bit early in his career to move up from 1,500, doesn't it?
Well, I think it is early, yes. I think Di Napoli will probably have a big future at 5,000. He's only young, he's 22. He's a world-class 1,500 metre runner, as we've said, but he hasn't got devastating speed over 800 metres. He's got a good kick in a 1,500 metres where a lot of strength is needed, but he'll probably turn into a 1,500 5,000 metre runner as opposed to an 800 1,500 metre runner. They went through 1,500 metres in about 4.5, 4.6, which is about 13:30 pace. Prianon pushing it along in front there still, with the rest of the field tucked in behind him, and I'm very impressed with Prianon. I must say, he looks very fit, very thin, good rhythm. He's running very, very smoothly, better than I've seen him in a long time. But the tough challenge for Prianon, if you like, is that he's thrown down the gauntlet now. He's taken it up from the gun, and he has got to be mentally tough. He's got to not allow himself to weaken and push it along, so that Butayev is forced to tire after his 10,000 yesterday.
Tim, I was just going to ask you a question there. Butayev going under 28 minutes for only the 5th time in his career yesterday. How would he be preparing himself psychologically for 5,000 metres today, looking at the level of competition that he's got, because he's certainly having to run more competitively today?
Well, that's a good question. I think no matter how fit he is, he's going to be a bit tired after that 10,000 yesterday, although he did look fairly easy. But I think you can be sure of one thing, and that is he won't hit the front until the last lap. He'll want to do the minimum necessary to win this race. Prianon knows that, so Prianon is making sure that he works as hard as possible before they get to that bell with 1 lap to go.
Zorko has been dropped off the leading four, the Yugoslav runner. Still Prianon out in front, back in the field events.
Well, this is Corgos of Spain, desperately trying to get some points for the Larios club. Of course, this event not going to be a high-scoring one for them, because he's in 5th place at the moment. And we'll have to wait and see. His best so far is 15:57. He has struggled a bit for form. Better control in the centre phase. Double arm shift, really struggled for it, didn't he? Looks to be beyond 15 metres. Sat back, may not be an improvement, though, on his 15:57 and 5th place. I'll see if we get that. Yes, 15:41, not as good. 15:57, and he remains in 5th.
So still Prianon out in front. The time at 2,000 metres, by the way, was 5 minutes 25.56. So still on around 13:30 pace, which is very quick for this kind of standard of competition. But there are some top names in there. And now Butayev has taken it up. And really for Prianon, he did have to shake off Butayev with that opening little burst of his, get him away from him, because he's got the speed merchants there, Butayev and De Napoli, who could be a factor if he can stay with Butayev, who, remember, did run the 10,000 metres yesterday. How much of that is still in his legs?
Well, Butayev must have heard me. All my predictions this afternoon going up in smoke in. I just said Butayev wouldn't take the lead. He's been tired after yesterday's 10,000. And look at this. Poor Prianon, the man in third there, was pushing it along at a very respectable pace. And Butayev went round him, dragged De Napoli, the Italian, with him, the tall man in second there, and pushed it along. And now there's a gap developing between these two. Butayev obviously decides he does feel good, and he's going for it.
So Butayev, the leader, and I must say it would be a massive upset if he was to get beaten here. And just to put this in the context of the match generally, Larios, remember, leading with a very handy lead, and if Butayev could come in here, there we are, there's the 3,000 metre time, 8 minutes 8 seconds. So they are 3/5 of the way through the race now, and it looks as if it's developed into a battle now between Butayev, the 10,000 metre Olympic champion. There's the battle for third place, Prianon with the Portuguese runner João Campos, but they are now cut adrift of the leading two. Fascinating.
Well, I wouldn't like to be in De Napoli's shoes here. That's the man in second. Butayev, the man in the lead, Olympic 10,000 champion, can call all the shots here. He's pushing it along in front. He's strong, he's fast. De Napoli, the only form we've got for him at other distances is that he ran a fast 800 last week of about 1:48. But Butayev himself is probably capable of close to that sort of time, having run a 3:54 mile. De Napoli now is in unknown territory. Whatever he does in this, I think he's going to run a big, big personal best. And the question is, can he hang on to Butayev?
He's probably only appearing in this 5,000 metres to do his club a favour. He's the best middle distance runner they've got, more a 1,500 metre man. But an interesting test for him, and he may be answering a few little questions in his own mind about the future and whether he's got one at 5,000 metres. He couldn't have a much bigger test than going in with somebody like Butayev.
That's right. I think De Napoli will fall into the category of runner who is a world-class 1,500 metre runner and a world-class 5,000 metre runner, but will always lack the strength to run a series of 5,000s as is required in major championships like the World Championships, the Olympics. But in a one-off race like this, he's probably capable of beating anybody in the world. Whether or not so early in his career as this, at the tender age of 22, we'll have to see.
But big things have been expected of Gennaro De Napoli, who, as the name might indicate, actually does come from, yep, you guessed it, Naples. And he's proud of his club too, because he wears that strip all the way around the European Grand Prix circuit all year. You'll notice that later in the season on Eurosport. And so too does Butayev. He wears that Larios strip just about everywhere too. So Butayev leading, De Napoli still there, and this is going to be fascinating if they get into the last lap and De Napoli, with his 1,500 metre speed, his 800 metre speed too, is still right there on the coattails of Butayev.
Well, De Napoli looking quite comfortable there. He's tucked in right behind Butayev. You could throw a handkerchief over the two of them. Butayev, of course, has got good speed, but De Napoli, look at that. He's up on his toes. He's almost stumbling to stay behind Butayev there. It certainly looks that way to me. And if he can just stay there for another lap and a half, he'll have a good chance of beating Butayev. What a great last lap that'll be if they're together at the bell. 4,000
metre time, 10 minutes, 52.82 seconds. Who's your money on, Tim?
Oh, I've made enough predictions, and enough of them have gone wrong for one day, I think. But I don't know. Butayev's a tough customer. As you said, he hasn't been beaten over 5,000 for a couple of years. He is a bit like Owita, the man who used to coach him. Butayev seems to be able to pull out just enough every race. You always think he's going to get out kicked, and then he makes his move. There you see De Napoli smiling. He's obviously got a lot of support. The Italians being very vocal here, and he's pretty confident. He's got 2 laps to go now, and I think he's feeling comfortable.
There's the battle for third place. Prianon, who tried to make all and shake them all off, burn them off early on, but he's paid the penalty for that. He slipped back, but he's racing for valuable points. Remember, everybody scores in this. 9 points to the winner, 7 for second place, 6 for third. Coming up now to 600 metres to go. Butayev still looking nice and strong and comfortable. Used to be Said Awita's big mate. They fell out after the Olympic Games when Butayev won a gold medal and Awita didn't pick up anything except an 800-meter bronze. De Napoli's still there. How's he looking to you, Tim?
He's looking good. The big question mark for him was the middle of the race. He knew he'd be okay for the first few laps. He wasn't sure how the middle of the race would go. That's when he'd be stretched. These are the athletes in third and fourth, Triano and Campos from Portugal. They're a long way behind the leaders. He's back with the leaders now. But De Napoli is in his own territory now. He's got a lap to go, and he'll be getting very, very confident. Butayev's got to be careful now.
This could be around 13:30, just outside possibly, and it's fascinating. Remember De Napoli, fourth fastest in the world at 1,500 metres last year. Butayev protecting a 2-year unbeaten record. There's the battle for third and fourth place, which, to be honest, is something of a side issue here. Let's concentrate on the leaders, shall we? Thank you very much. The Spanish director has got onto the real issue, and there it is. Still leading. Brahim Butayev, there goes De Napoli, trying to inject the pace. What can Butayev do about it? He's matching the speed. Great race, this one. And Butayev, De Napoli, and it's a question now of who can sustain the kick on this final bend. De Napoli coming on the outside in the maroon strip. Butayev, though, digging in again. Look at this, stride for stride into the straight, but the superior pace of the 1,500-meter specialist tells, and Butayev is beaten over 5,000 metres for the first time in nearly 2 years, and that is a great run from Gennaro De Napoli from Italy. 13 minutes 27 as well. Splendid race and a shock.
Well, let's just before Tim comes in there, let's just reflect on the fact that Butayev ran that last lap last night at the 10,000 metres. He tried to get under 28 minutes, and he really pushed himself. And it may well be that it's taken the sting out of him, but I'll tell you what, Ian, you've got some information on the last 200 metres there.
It was 24.8 seconds for the last 200 metres from De Napoli, and he was doing it easing up, Tim.
Yeah, that's right. The last 30, 40 metres, he looked easy. And really his class came through, didn't it, in that last 100 metres. Butayev was able to hold him round the bend, but when the lactic acid really started pumping into those thighs, so you saw De Napoli take control and charge away from him down the straight. Not often that we see a Moroccan lose nowadays, is it?
This is absolutely top class. You won't see many better races than this all year. De Napoli suddenly went, and if he thought that he was suddenly going to leave Butayev trailing in his slipstream, he had another thing coming, because Butayev, protecting that long unbeaten record, dug in again, and then they were just stride for stride here. Who could sustain the kick? A battle of erosion round the top bend. Butayev digging in, but De Napoli still looking comfortable, still looking smooth. Good win for him.
Great win for De Napoli. He's showing great sprinting form here. Look at that, he's getting his hands up very high in the front. His knees still going very high. Butayev's knees are beginning to drop. He's beginning to get tired. De Napoli knows he's got it at this point. Checking behind him, waving to his fans. I think he must have brought a couple of coach loads with him, and he can afford to ease off before the tape.
And De Napoli must have things in the back of his mind about future big championships. Maybe he'll have a little flirtation with the old 5,000.
Well, I'm very, very impressed with De Napoli, actually. I haven't seen him run many times before, but to run your last 200 in 24.8, most of it in lane 2, round the bend, don't forget, and then ease off in the last 50 metres. That is the very, very top of world-class sprinting, and to finish a 5,000 like that in not too bad a time, well, he's got a big future at 5,000 without a doubt.
Yeah, he impresses me, that youngster. I think he's going to scupper a few people's plans at major championships.
Well, we're in the final round of the triple jump there. Number 5 is Le Breton of France. He's the last to go. And hands to head, as you see, the lead being held at the moment by Gerasimov of the Soviet Union, of the Moscow Sports Club, 15 metres and 90. This is an ungainly approach from the Racing Club of France athlete. It really powers in. Over-exaggerated use of the arms, the modification in, a bit high on the first phase, collapses in. His legs are really struggling to keep him in any sort of form at all through the final phase. And that's 15 metres and 45 for the Frenchman. So he's well down. He's in third place, actually, having said he's well down, but well down on the leading distance of 15 metres and 90. Well, we've got one or two results for you now, and Have a look at these, the steeplechase, Ian.
Yes, useful time there, just outside his personal best, 8 minutes 34 for Junqueira of Portugal, Maximovic, I should say. Yugoslavia in second place, Gomez, Larios, useful points again for them in third.
Discus result, Tarrell, 58.08 metres. Zabini of Italy, 58 metres and 6. Karpov of the Moscow Club of the Soviet Union, 57 metres and 10. Once again, a good competition without great distance. We go now to the pole vault result, and Vigneron, the former world record holder, took it at 5 metres and 50. You saw that vault. Beda of Italy, 5 metres and 30. He failed at 5.50. Gorgojevski of Yugoslavia, 5 metres in third place. We're going to take a break now. To Jerez and this. Welcome back to Jerez and this European Clubs Championships. It's the 16th championship, and we're waiting for the 4x400 metres relay. But Larios of Spain are certainly the team to dominate. They had a very good first day, and they've managed to continue their good fortunes on day two. There it is, Larios 119, well ahead of Fiamma Ora Padora of Italy in second place at 107. The Racing Club of France 106. A very good battle between the Italians and the French. And Red Star Belgrade in fourth, Benfica in fifth, Birchfield Harriers in sixth, the Trade Union Sports Club of Moscow in seventh, and Amsterdam of Holland in eighth. So it is before the relay.
It looks as though Larios of Spain have got this in their pocket and will provide the first ever Spanish win in the European Men's Club Championship. Final event coming up. They've got quite a useful lineup in the 400 metres relay, and they're all lined up from the inside. It'll be Holland, then Italy, the Soviet Union, France, Spain, they're the leaders at the moment, Portugal, Great Britain on the outside, Yugoslavia. Remember, 1 point separating Italy in second place at the moment from France in third, so it's going to be a key race between those two. Remember, the first 500 metres of this is run in lanes. The 400-metre relay, hard to tell, frankly, who's winning. As you look on the outside there, remember there's a big stagger. It'll all unwind when they get onto the back straight on the second leg.
That looks like Steve Thomas of Birchfield on the first leg, chasing the Yugoslav, the Red Star team, looking to be in the lead at the moment, but it is difficult to tell on the echelon. On the inside, Larios coming through well. Is that Innocent Egbeniki? It does look like Egbeniki on the first leg. Yes, it is. It ran the 200 metres earlier. So the Yugoslavs coming in first, Birchfield in second place, Larios in third on the stagger at the moment. They've got another bend in lanes here.
It looked to me there, Stuart, as if the Spaniards and the Yugoslavs howded over together, and I would say that Larios have got the lead here at this stage, and we'll see as this unwinds. They'll go out of their lanes in just a moment, and you can see in the all-yellow strip, Larios of Spain having the lead at the moment.
Birchfield in second place, Yugoslavs in third, and Racing Club of France in fourth. And Ainsley Bennett running for Birchfield Harriers there. Ainsley, an international of some standing some years ago, just being pressured now by the Yugoslav. So Spain leading, Yugoslavia in second place, Great Britain and Birchfield Harriers in third, Racing Club of France in fourth place.
Italian club coming down into the... Sorry, the Spanish club coming down, changing over there, just getting passed by the Yugoslavs. Always a lot of pushing and shoving at these changeovers. A very bad changeover by the British club Birchfield there. They lost 2 or 3 places there. The Italians are passing. They're now back in 6th or 7th place. But here you see the Yugoslavs and the Spaniards, the Larios team, well away from the others.
Larios, I think, the way this is going, are going to increase their lead. This is the third leg of 4. Spain in the lead. Yugoslavia is second. Remember, the battle for second place overall, and France are in third at the moment. Italy would be trying to overtake them. Tight battle between those two. That's part of the subplot.
Well, that big gap between the Yugoslavs and the Britons came from the last changeover. And it should be Cornet of Spain taking over the final leg for Larios. And he, remember, won the individual 400 metres. There he is. There's Cornet en route. And once again, the Birchfield team in third place. So it's Larios leading. Red Star in second place, Birchfield Harriers of Great Britain in third, and Larios now well and truly en route to a victory, not only in this race, but in the overall title over 2 days at European Club Championship. Cornet, who ran fairly steady over the first 200 metres, he has been caught slightly, but let's see what he's got left in the home straight. Powerful athlete, very experienced, performed well indoors last season and this, and now goes away again. Looks over his shoulder, knows he's safe, he's on the inside lane, tucked away, and Larios come away, and they win it. A red star in second place. And now, who's coming third? Oh, and it looked as though the Italians overtook Birchfield for third place. Fiammi Oro Padua of Italy with third, and Birchfield Harriers in fourth. Cornet, 45.2 on the last leg.
Very good that, and Italy, by my reckoning there, have made sure that they'll get second place overall. Larios there, the men in the yellow strip, they are the European men's club champions for 1990. Cayetano Cornet, that's a great anchor leg from him, 45.2. Really, barring dropping the baton, he was never going to mess it up from this stage. He'd won the individual 400, and the Yugoslav was looking to find 10 metres on him and leads like that, and not given away by runners of the class of Cornet in this company.
Well, that's right. Cornet not under any pressure here, but still running low 45s. That really is world-class running from him. And this is a man, of course, who will be aiming to do well in the European Championships later on in the summer. So we can look for him to go a lot faster than that, possibly getting down into the low 44s later on in the summer. Here you see the athletes going down the back street. The Yugoslav athlete in a very difficult position there. He's got about a 10-metre gap between him and Cornet, and very little chance of catching him.
We can confirm while we watch these pictures going through, and I'll just talk across them unofficially. Spain, Larios have won with 128 points. The Italians finished second, 113. France in third, 108. As you watch Cornet on this excellent final leg, really just capping what's been a glorious couple of days for the Larios club. They've had some fine wins, but maybe in the race of the day, the Italians will say they drank the champagne, as it were, because Gennaro Di Napoli had that great win. It was the race of the weekend in the 5,000 metres over Brahim Butayev, the Olympic 10,000 metre champion. But Larios fittingly carrying home the baton. Cayetano Cornet there. The minor placings, incidentally, Yugoslavia were fourth, Portugal were fifth, Great Britain was sixth, Soviet Union was seventh, and Holland finished eighth.
Well, actually, Cornet ran the first 200 metres very, very steadily and in control, and then had all the power in the world to come down that home straight with, once again, real control. In the individual race, he went off very, very quickly indeed, and had to work very hard to win the race. They're a very different story, two different contrasting ways of running that 400 metres. Relaxation in the shoulders, good use of the arms. The Yugoslav, in comparison, tense. The man in front looking over his shoulder. And the battle for third place going on between the Italians and the British. The Birchfield Harriers just being overtaken by Fiammi Oro Padua of Italy on the line. Well, there it is. That's confirmation of those informal figures that you gave us. Larios 128 points, Fiammi Oro Padua 113, and of course the Italians over the French on that final one. Racing Club of France 108, and Estrella, that's Red Star Belgrade, incidentally, 101. Benfica, Portugal 84, the Birchfield Harriers 74, the Soviets 72, and Amsterdam in 8th place. That's the Dutch team, 58. Next athletics on Eurosport, the International Amateur Athletics Federation Grand Prix meet from Moscow. That's on Thursday, June the 14th, 1900 hours in Europe, 1800 hours in the United Kingdom. Well, it's been a marvellous 2 days of athletics, and we've seen some great athletes. At the start of a season for Butayev, the Olympic 10,000 metres champion, we saw him win and we saw him lose. Mixed fortunes all round, but the Larios Club brought together a very, very strong team, and for the first time ever, Spain have won a marvellous competition. First time the Spanish teams have ever won. We leave you with some action and some music.